great cooking.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's
Jermaine, why do you keep sliding back? We can't get a picture of you.
why do you think
I'm not going to
maybe we
bite.
can move over this way so that everybody can.
Well, everybody's okay. Let me switch places with you so you remain in the center.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Kim Long with Adult Learners Now, and it is my great pleasure to be here at the Fresh Future Farm and to talk about this innovative educational partnership. I would first like to recognize all of the board members. Would you identify yourselves, the board members of Fresh Future Farm? Thank you. Thanks. And Ms. Barbara Wakiki is also a commissioner for the South Carolina State Art Commission. So she's wearing a double hat today. I would first like to recognize Ms. Germaine Jenkins, and she's going to talk to all of us about the farm and the role that the farm plays in this initiative.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. I am Germaine Jenkins, the co-founder and CEO of Fresh Future Farm, and we are so excited to be a part of this agricultural entrepreneurship initiative because, you know, if anybody knows our story, they know that most of what we do here after Master Gardener training was learned off the internet. So with the partnership with Benedict College and the Low Country Rice Project, we will be able to, for all of those folks that come here, whether it's people that came from Orangeburg, Columbia, Spartanburg to learn what we do, this is a way for them to do it from the comfort of their own town. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Jonathan Green, founder of the Low Country Rice Culture Project and ambassador of the arts for the city of Charleston, among other international.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is a really special day. I'm from a farming background out of Beaufort County, South Carolina. And as an artist, I always wanted to imagine more farming. I was very active at Future Farmers of America, was a Boy Scout, Cub Scout, so I've been around the land all of my life. And, you know, traveling around the world and just being a part of so many organizations, I couldn't think of anything better than to help reignite the importance of farming culture to our communities. And it's on every level. It's from the smallest level of a home with maybe 2 or 3 people in it to institutions, universities. We all have to re-engage ourselves in farming and in the richness of farming. As you look around, you can see the produce that Germaine and her staff and volunteers have been able to supply for you. What we would like to do as a collective consortium with Benedict College is to create a series of cafes along our highways. We would like to start with Highway 17. As many of you know, there are few places, and what's your name? Haywood. Congratulations. As you all know, there are really not that many places for us to eat along these highways. And we have such an abundance of tourism. The other issue, unfortunately, is that so many of the people that are tourists coming into this area have not a clue of the richness of people, community, the whole Gullah cuisine coming out of these plantation cultures, which stems out of West Africa. We just do not understand. We can look around this farm today and see vegetables that brought from Africa. The okra, eggplant, melons, all of those wonderful vegetables came from Africa. And the people that lived on those plantations, enslaved on those plantations for hundreds of years, were the cooks and the chefs. And they were not just cooks. They cooked on a major level, feeding people from all over the world in many of our plantations. As you know, South Carolina was a farming state. And when you go back to the late 1600s and 1700s, that was the economic engine of the world. It was farming. And the reasons for leaving Barbados, coming here to America, the European farmers was to establish a food source for Europe. Around the 1600s, Europe had devastated its forests. People were starving by the hundreds of thousands. Many of you might have heard of the Great Potato Famine. Well, that's just one of the series of famines, cause of the famines for Europe. And of course, this place was rich in its abundance of fruits and vegetables, nuts, etc. And so much of that has been lost because so many of the descendants from the plantation culture wanted their children to do and be much better, and they thought that farming would not be a form of wealth for them. Well, full circle, we're turning back to farming because we know that is the only true wealth, is what you eat, how you eat, that determines how you live, and the quality of your life, how you live. So we would like to work on this project to establish these cafes. And the cafes, we would like to have them start mostly in churches, because most churches already have kitchens and have places for people to live. And we would like to help the churches to understand that you can't just be a church. You have to be a cultural center. You have to be an educational center. These are the things that most of our churches have forgotten. So it's our interest to help the churches become far more viable to the community. It would also be a great opportunity for tourism to not only understand the wealth and the richness of food agriculture from the Low Country area, but also to understand whom the people are. And when you go to a church, you really get a good understanding of whom the people are, where they're from. They can educate, talk to you. The other great part about working in communities and churches is that it gives younger people an opportunity to work in the food service area. It gives them an opportunity to work in farming again. It gives them an opportunity to meet people, to socialize with people, because those are very important skills in terms of maturing. You have to be able to dialogue and talk with people. Well, hello, Mrs. Tecklenburg, and welcome them into the Low Country. When you look at the numbers, the economics of tourism, very little of that tourist money gets into the communities. And what we simply would like to do is find a way through food and nurturing and loving, less preaching, more educating, to introduce the community of people at large to the true wealth, history, culture of food economics of South Carolina. Thank you.
Next we have Dr. Rosalind Artis, President of Benedict College, who will talk about the educational components of this initiative.
Well, good morning. Good morning. I am thrilled to be here. I have not been called to preach, but rather to teach. My work at Benedict College is very, very important, and I trust that it will be important to you as well. This innovative partnership will allow us the opportunity to engage a population of students here in the Low Country, enabling them to earn a certificate in agricultural entrepreneurship. That means combining innovation and agriculture, and agricultural innovation is not an oxymoron. It is what we do, it is who we are. Our goal at Benedict College is to provide our students with access to meaningful work opportunities. We understand that education has tremendous value, but its ultimate value is in helping our students secure gainful employment, either with a company or by creating a company. We want to give them the skills and talents necessary to go out and start their own businesses, to be entrepreneurs, to build communities, and to reinvest in meaningful ways. This partnership is our first step here in the Low Country in engaging the cultural and agricultural environments here. We are so grateful to you, Ms. Jenkins, for your entrepreneurship and your thoughtfulness in creating Fresh Future Farms. Certainly there can be no greater ambassador than Jonathan Green. We are so grateful for the opportunity to partner. For all the board members and all the friends assembled here today, we trust that you value education and opportunity, and we look forward to working with each of you as we kick off our first ever online certificate program, which enables students engaged in the agricultural industry to be able to develop their work-ready skills and, again, make valuable contributions to our economy, to the Low Country, and to South Carolina more broadly. I have with me today my Vice President for University Advancement, Ms. Leandra Hayes Burgess, and your students, your family members, your friends, your neighbors, your community members have access to opportunities, to new and innovative opportunities, so that we can continue to grow the economy of South Carolina, but always, always remain grounded in our cultural fiber and our foundation. We will not forget from whence we came, and we will make sure that generations after us learn who they are and whose they are. I thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Are there any questions from the audience? Tell us a little bit, like how long will the program be?
So students will proceed through an online curriculum that's the equivalent of 1 year of college credit, so 30 to 36 hours, depending on some specific options for students. Most will matriculate through in a period of less than a year. Absolutely. We look forward, as Kim Long, the great connector, was just commenting, can fold into a complete degree program for that student if they should decide to go further.
Could you tell me what, thank you, I appreciate all of you being here. It's a wonderful place, Fresh Future Farm. It's like no other. But I'm wondering, when these students finish this 2-year program, what will they go out and do specifically? What will they do with their 2 hands and their minds?
Well, I can tell you what those folks who come here to want to learn what we do, what they plan to do with it. There are many food deserts where people are more than a mile away from food in urban areas, 7 miles in rural spaces. They have come here wanting to learn how to replicate what we're doing where they live, so that there are more communities that have access to historic, healthy food where they can generate incomes in the process. Because while we search for dollars, there's an $11 million business in feeding South Carolinians. $11 billion, excuse me. So what a great way to be able to do it on a budget.
I think to speak to the academic learning outcomes, what you're really thinking about for these students, food science, understanding the science of horticulture and growing food, also understanding money management, finance, and entrepreneurship, hard skills that will enable these students to go out and again begin co-ops or businesses that can then translate into food and wealth for these communities.
And also in South Carolina, there are many agricultural industries that the students can begin a career if they so choose. And this will enable them to move up in stages as they progress toward their degree. And so by beginning with this certificate program, it gives them a leg up into entry-level positions within these food industries that we're surrounded by in South Carolina.
Especially with the aging of the agricultural community. It's very important.
And also we'll be working with the Charleston Convention Center and Tourism. And one of their major problems is that they cannot find enough African American people to take those jobs. And it's simply because they don't know where they are. And many of these students that have gone on to college are not returning because they feel that there's no work. So we're connecting with Charleston Tourism, and they are very excited about this project because it's going to help them tremendously, not only with finding people to work from the community, but that it would help them tremendously in having people that are knowledgeable about low country food, low country history, etc.
Speak about Ayers Farm.
And Ayers Farm, as we know, that's a major issue. One of the biggest problems, because I'm from Ayers Property, is that most people that are a part of Ayers Property have no sense of farming. They really do not understand the importance of tourism. So they're sitting on all that land. It's not really being used properly. So this initiative will help them to understand the value of the land that they live on. And it's really not that difficult. Many of you that have traveled abroad, I would use Europe as an example. Every town you go to, every little town you go to, there are cafes, restaurants, everything pertaining to the community, to the culture. Well, that comes from hundreds of years of learning and understanding the importance of food, packaging, passing out of food. It is a culture in itself, what you can do with food and how you can entertain people with food, how you can make people feel appreciative of the communities they're in. So, of course, for South Carolina, when you're traveling up and down 17 and 26, there are just not that many local places where people can go in and eat. So we would like to change that, and I think this partnership is a perfect opportunity.
Any other questions?
Me as a local chef in the community, how can I come here to volunteer and stuff? I've been looking for an outlet like this for a long time. I'm an avid gardener. I was told about you through one of my sous chefs, so I'm here to. What do I need to do to volunteer to come here?
You just walk on back on Saturday. It's
On Saturdays?
Third Saturdays from 9 to noon, or when we have our monthly garden or farm work day.
Okay.
And like once you pass the test, then we can schedule other days.
Okay.
So we're excited to be here, and we want more folks from the community to embrace this farm. It's just not sitting here. It's here for you. So all of the fabulous organizations around here, Jenkins Institute. I see somebody from Jenkins here. All of the fabulous historical places right in this neck. This is for you, so please don't be shy.
And I would just say to Germaine, I think you've been operating this facility for about 4 years. And several years ago, I had first knowledge when I was part of a panel, and she participated for some nonprofit funds. And her case was so compelling, she was one of the winners. And at that point, I said, I want to know more. And unfortunately, I didn't. But then I was at another event where you received another award, and at that point I decided, look, this is the time to go out and learn more. And I will certainly say I commend you for what you're doing here. And thank you, Benedict, and thank you, Jonathan, because now the opportunity is here where more people will benefit from the work you're doing, for the opportunities that you're providing people in your community. And we all now know how important it is that we all embrace our own health. What we put in our bodies is going to affect how we feel and how we live. And you're doing so much to help people. So I said thank you for being in this community.
So I hope that everyone has a good sense of the nature of the partnership, and that you'll encourage young people that you come in contact with, heck, old people that you come in contact with, who have a thirst for education, adult and continuing education opportunities. Certainly there are scholarships available. We're always listening for additional scholarship dollars, but there are scholarships available to assist our students who might need a little bit of help, a little encouragement to get them started and underway, earning either the certificate or going on to a full college degree. This is the beginning of something great. We are growing a beautiful partnership.
So give to Benedict's scholarship program earmarked to this agricultural entrepreneurship initiative, because it's affordable and it will help students, because employers are looking for skills now, not necessarily degrees. They need skills and they need practical knowledge, applied knowledge. So this is an opportunity to really give someone a concrete start in life. So you can talk to the vice president here about the scholarships available. I want to recognize the First Lady of Charleston, Mrs. Sandy Pickenberg, for coming out. She loves this farm, even though it's outside of the city of Charleston, but we're family.
Well, you know, I'll say a statement about that, Kim and I. Thank you for doing this, and Jonathan, thank you. And Benedict College, I know we're going to be with you later in the week, but thank you for this. And this farm, it is in North Charleston, but to me it's a regional issue, and we have to create this regional feel. Obviously, we'd love to clone her and have April and everything else they did somewhere else, and we'll do that one day. But she's a rock star, and she's been a rock star for years out here, doing a lot on very little. And I think this is a big boost to her. And thank you, Benedict and Jonathan.
Okay.
Oh, and this is the Jenkins orphan.
Sandy, introduce yourself.
Sandy has been trying to use that 54 acres of land that we have over in Jenkins as a garden. And we are considering it, Sandy. We hadn't talked anymore, but you know, I'm supposed to be retired. But we are looking at, we've been talking to Clemson has always been on our campus. But and of course, you know, April has brought me over here this winter time, so I come over here and buy food for myself. So I think this is a good step. It really is a good step, and we are looking at making a community garden over there. And having to you know how important that is. Of course, every now and then when I see John pokes me in the head about doing and Barbara makes me drink all of my food when I'm having anything. I make sure I'm eating all vegetarian stuff. So whenever you all see how skinny I am, you blame Barbara. So I'm glad. I'm pleased to be here. So April made sure that I came.
I made sure that they asked you.
And I'm here. Oh, my name is Germaine Jenkins, and I was formerly the executive director of Jenkins Office for 15 years. And now we've been doing a small home in Union Heights. We're doing a private home in Union Heights. So we just started doing an affordable home in this community where I grew up. So look for us. And each one of these houses is new buildings. New buildings not in those houses. Right. And April has designed those houses. And we have April is a architect and a teacher at College of the Building Arts, where I sat no longer on the board of trustees. So we are now trying to pull all that together, all of our skills together. And I got to tell you, ladies, it's all being built by a group of women. We're going to show our skills and show the people, and that's what we're going to do it. Over Union Heights. Thank you so much.
Thank you.